A lot to cover. All right, good morning and welcome to our October user group. And as you just heard, this session is being recorded and will be made available. You can watch it afterwards or share with those who weren't able to attend. So thank you for joining. Our topic today is going to be kind of a little recap on the 5580 or the ControlLogix L8 controller update. There had been some new processors that came out, I guess, late last year. So just a little recap on what those processors are and kind of what's going on with the L8 family. And then the real star of the show today is going to be a look at Logix Echo, which is the L8, the ControlLogix L8 emulator. My name is Wayne Welk, and I'm just going to kick this off real quick with kind of our traditional slides of what's coming up. We have 2 more tech talks on our schedule for the rest of the year. One next week will be on the E200, E300 electronic overloads. And then on November 3rd, we'll do an Automation Fair preview because Automation Fair is coming up very, very soon. This is our last user group of the year, and we will, of course, get back again in January. So we'll have a new slate of topics coming up in the first of the year. November is usually Automation Fair, and then December is the holiday season. So this is our last topic. Just want to take a moment to really thank and acknowledge all of our automation specialists from all of our branches. It takes a little bit of effort to get all these events, seminars, tech talks, and user groups, identified, and pick topics, and then find speakers and do the research on it. So a huge thanks to our entire team for all the efforts to do these topics throughout the year. If you want to, if you feel like that's too long of a time and you want to go back and watch some user group sessions over those 2 months, well, everything is on our YouTube channel. So the Reynolds Company's YouTube channel, you're welcome to go back and watch all of our previous events. Are all been recorded and posted there as well. Just another kind of plug for our updated website. We've updated the website recently, reynoldsonline.com. And this is kind of our digital repository for all that content. So if you want to find our previous tech talks, our previous user groups, links to those videos, they're all under the resources section of reynoldsonline.com. So I invite you to go there and take a look. And like we've mentioned, we have a tech talk on the preview of Automation Fair coming up, but the real Automation Fair is November 10th through the 11th, and it's in Houston. So it's right here in our territory, and should be easy travel for most of our customers listening. So 2 days in Houston. It is a live, real in-person event, but there will also be an online component. So we understand that not everyone can travel at this time. So if you can't travel to Houston, you're still welcome to take advantage of the online content. If you can, then go ahead and get registered and make your way to Houston on November 10th and 11th. It should be noted too that the day before, November 9th, is the PSUG, or the Process Solutions User Group. So that event is also happening live, and that this year there's no cost to attend PSUG, so you can sign up for that event as well and attend. And that is it for kind of what's going on. So next we'll introduce our guest panelists. We have 2 speakers today from Rockwell Automation. Bruce Kyer, Senior Commercial Engineer, and Neeraj Kacharia, Business Lead and for Architecture and Software for Rockwell Automation. And so I will turn it over to our speakers.
Hey, thank you, Will. Thank you, Wayne. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Reynolds Company User Group. I am Neeraj Kacharia. I'm the architecture and software business leader for Houston and Dallas. And we will be talking today about Logix 5580 and Logix Echo. With that, I would like to start. So Logix 8 we released about 2.5 years back. Now it's 3.5, and it is part of our integrated architecture strategy. A high performance architecture with smart, productive, and secure equipment at a plant floor level. Right? The integrated architecture portfolio consists of controls, I/O, operator interfaces, the network component, the software, and motion control as well, the drives and motors. And within that, Logix 5580, ControlLogix 5580 falls within the controls and I/O portion of integrated architecture. And digging deeper into the controller portfolio, we have controller portfolio for low-end, small machines, small equipment, micro 800. We go into compact Logix controller, and then for complex processes and machines, we have ControlLogix controller. And for process safety, we have advanced and trusted platform. So today's agenda, the ControlLogix overview, then controller redundant capability, and the guard Logix and some additional resources, and then Logix Echo as well. On ControlLogix controller of 5580, the difference between 5580 and 5570 is the 1 gigabit port that is embedded on a 5580 controller, and which can enable high-speed I/O and motion control for up to 300 nodes. Of course, in non-redundant options, the option for conformally coated extreme environment and no stored energy versions available as well. It does support removal and insertion under power, RIUP, and it has enhanced security features. So one of the enhanced security features is capability to have a SIP security enabled chipset into the networking. The ControlLogix 5570, again, it's the same workhorse that we have had since about 8 to 10 years now. It has versions of SIL 3 PLE capable versions, on-machine version, and a conformally coated and extreme environment versions available. The ControlLogix 5570 is still a standard product, active product, so it is not going away for foreseeable future. It is still going to coexist with 5580 controller. A little bit deeper on 5580 controller, it's been built upon the 20 years of ControlLogix platform capability, and it continues the lineage of this flagship product, platform. It enables easier connection to enterprise assets through the built-in Ethernet port. It reduces the system footprint as well, because it is a lot more powerful due to an additional communications processor built into the controller itself, and it enables faster system performance. The code execution limitations have been removed that were part of L7 controllers. Just a quick look between different versions and capabilities. So the green square is supported in all configurations. The yellow triangle means it is not supported in a redundant configuration, and the red dot means that it is not supported. So in this case, you can see here that our standard L8 controller is so it does support the Ethernet on board, the 5069, 5094 IO, and the use of it is compliant with 62443 -4-2 compliance. This is one of the critical importance, the SIP security and the compliance for cybersecurity applications. On the process side, the phase manager for batch is supported across all the controllers, and the sequence manager will be coming up next version. High availability is supported across all the controllers except safety. The Logix 5580 has high performance 1 gigabyte port. It has high speed communication capability, decrease scan time. Now, if you remember on L7, we have to do time slicing because the communication and processing occurred on the same processor, internal processor chipset. With L8 controller, the communication and the processing, controls processing is now divided between two separate cores. So you do not have a penalty for faster communications. So that it enables the program to use the complete processing power of Logix. The increased capacity, so 45% increased application capacity, and it supports up to 256 axis of motion and up to 300 Ethernet IP nodes directly. Enhanced security, so this is critical upgrade. Enhanced security, you can digitally sign and encrypt firmware. So it protects any malware connection with any malicious connection. Controller-based change detection, you can actually detect changes that are done into your controller application without needing any special software. So Studio 5000 can actually get that information out. Mode change switch adds a physical layer. Certified compliant with IEC 62443-4-2 security standard as well. It has capability to enable and deploy SIP security model as well. It has onboard display, USB port E direct for ease of programming, integrated energy storage, no battery required. So that is really good development. Secure digital card ships with 2 GB storage cards and provides optional storage for firmware, user program, and tag data. The conformal coating is available as well. Then we have a 5580 no stored energy version of the controller for use in hazardous zone applications such as underground mining, refineries that requires energy discharge to be less than 200 microjoules. So this is critical for our market in Houston and Dallas as well. Extreme, this is the next generation of Extreme XT controller. You can key features: operation from -25 degrees centigrade to 70 degrees C, convection cool design, so no moving parts, no fans, no filters, no maintenance required. It has the same product certification as the standard product and tested up to NCISA 71.04 1985 G3 standards. With about 5 months back, about 8 months now, we released a process controller version of 5580, call it L85EP. The key features for that is it's an extension. It has built-in and embedded support for process instructions, no reduction in capability to standard. It adds a capability by embedding process instructions. Process tasking models are embedded as well, out-of-the-box process functionality, and offline task loading estimation is provided as well. So these are the 3 variants, L81, 83, and 85 for process. It integrates really well with the Plant PX 5.0 release and Plant PX code libraries and faceplates. A 5580 controller with motion, it supports up to 256 drives in controller, which can increase performance for high access machine. 3 configurable update rates, and advanced tuning with load observer and tracking notch filter basically helps eliminate the need to tune each axis. With go into a little bit about 5580 redundant capabilities. With version 33, with Studio 5000 Logix Designer version 33, we released the capability for redundancy in L85 controllers. If you have been familiar to L7 redundancy, then there are certain similarities and benefits and restrictions as well that we need to be aware of. So 1756 RM2 is required. Configuration of processor is still done in Studio 5000 dual chassis design. Continued support for Ethernet I/O and transparent switchover. It's a bumpless transfer, and up to 7 communication modules can be in the chassis. Nodes connections are dictated by the which processor has been selected. Now, the benefits are similar benefits to the simplex configuration, which is no reduction in memory. So effectively, the memory size, the I/O capability is doubling from 5570 redundancy. It also supports 5094, which is the new Flex 5000 I/O modules. Now, those I/O modules, the Flex 5000 remote I/O platform, has capability to connect directly to fiber. So if you are rolling this out in your facility, 5094 I/O modules or 5094 I/O platform have direct fiber connection capability. 5570 will still continue. The 5570 redundancy will still continue to be offered along with 5580 redundancy. Now, there are certain restrictions that only one processor in the same rack is allowed today, and the legacy networks are not supported. So ControlNet on redundancy, RIO, DH Plus are not supported, and messaging to legacy processors are not supported. So PLC2, PLC5 or SLIC devices and messaging to those devices are not supported with L8 redundancy. There is no SIL2 support yet. It is on the product roadmap. So we will see a little bit update in the automation fair on that. But I'll say this, that it is coming. If you look at a little bit detail redundancy comparison, the 2 processors in rack is supported by L7 controllers today. It will be in L8 redundancy as well. It's coming down in future. And SIL2 process safety solution with 1715 redundant I/O, that's also coming down in future as well. Now, one of the restriction we have today is that L8 controllers in redundancy mode cannot use the onboard Ethernet port. Now, that should be released in about 8 to 9 months, that support. So that's coming down. And CIP security support as well will be coming as soon as the Ethernet support is released for onboard Ethernet port. The SIP security support for onboard Ethernet port will also be released. There are additional resources. You can go to the product hardware sites, and you can learn more about through our webinars and our training material as well. With this, we go into FactoryTalk Logix Echo. FactoryTalk Logix Echo is our new emulation software for L8 controllers. And it addresses the digital engineering use cases. So what are typical digital engineering use cases, and why Logix Echo is different from Logix 5000 Emulate that you are so familiar with? So there are 4 digital engineering use cases. The one, machine prototyping, virtual commissioning, throughput analysis, and operator training simulators. Right. Machine prototyping is based on how easy it is to design and build next generation of machine without adding more cost on trial and error. Virtual commissioning helps you design and commission a control system virtually to iron out a lot of logic problems right? Throughput analysis, when you tie in together the Logix, the emulator with a simulation of a facility, like using a HYSYS or using Mina or using CAPE software, you can have a complete digital twin and provide a throughput analysis of the dynamic processes, right? And then the last use case is operator training simulators. So you can reduce the risk by training your operators in a digital twin system before they are released into the real live production system. So how does those use cases, the virtual commissioning one, the machine prototyping, how do they help how do they help you as a customer? So digital twin workflow, a traditional project delivery timeline or project schedule works in a very sequential fashion, right? You get system design, you get mechanical design, you do control system design, then fabrication, physical testing, and if there are problems, issues, you rework and again physical testing. With a digital twin schedule, you start your system design, and in the parallel, the mechanical design and the control system design can start as well, all in software. So once your design are done in software, you can start testing your application program with a mechanical simulation that has been designed already as part of mechanical design. What this will do is this will reduce your hardware dependencies and commissioning risk, because now you can start commissioning before the mechanical fabrication has been finished or mechanical physical installation has finished. You can start commissioning your code, commissioning your PLC program before a physical machine, equipment, or a plant is in place. This will save a huge amount of time on the redesign portion, plus the physical on-site commissioning as well. Because a lot of logic problems, right? The code logic, there are a lot of mistakes in there. All those things can be resolved virtually before going to before going online with a real physical machine, equipment, or a plant system. And this savings can be passed on to your end customer if you are a system integrator or an OEM as well. So Logix Echo, what it emulates the ControlLogix 5580 controllers. It does provide Ethernet. It also emulates the Ethernet connectivity, and it also has a software development kit for integration with high fidelity process simulators and operator training simulators. It's how do you access? It's similar to physical controller. Setting up an emulator controller is fast. We will do today. What we are going to do is we are going to go through a live demo of Logix Echo as well. Bruce Kyer, who's our commercial engineer, is going to showcase a live demo on setting up, how easy it is to set up a Logix Echo system. And you can create up to 17 emulated controllers in one emulated chassis. So what that means is, if you are deploying a process control system with multiple controllers, you can, in a single license, you can have 4, 5, up to 17 controllers built and communicating with each other, along with communicating to the software that is attached, Rockwell software, View SE software, and deploy that system and commission, test, and verify it. You can apply the same project to physical or emulated controllers. So you do not have to change your project file. If your project has multiple, if your project has L883 with a full project tree of IO modules. You do not have to change the IO tree. The IO tree will be maintained. So this is a big difference from Logix 5000 emulation that you had before compared to Logix Echo. Supported controllers, all L8 controllers are supported today. In future, we will support the safety 5580, compact Logix 5380, and compact guard Logix 5380. So that version, that support is coming down next summer. So we are about 8 months out. The simulated control code and HMI interaction will all be from a single workstation, or it can be distributed. So what it means is you can have 3 different virtual machines. One virtual machine is running your Logix Echo. The second virtual machine is running your View SC application. Your third virtual machine, you might be using it for running Asset Center. All those 3 will, all the View SC and Asset Center servers can connect directly to Logix Echo through network ports. There is support for SD card as well. So you can emulate the virtual SD card and you can look at the memory as well. A Logix designer can download over Ethernet to the one emulator controller. So if you have 17 emulators or 17 controllers in emulated chassis, Logix designer can download to each one individually over Ethernet IP. So what that means is you can have Studio 5000 on a separate computer than the Logix Echo. It does not need to be on the same computer, same installation. You can do emulator to emulator communication. The class 1, the produce consume tags, or class 3 communication is possible. So like I said, if you have a process control system with multiple controllers, you can emulate that as well with Logix Echo. Class 3 message between HMI and other SIP-based softwares over Ethernet IP and bridged over backplane to Ethernet IP as well. So you can have communication to HMI or EOI software or hardware through the backplane communication. You can also communicate through remote connections to emulator through virtual machines or workstation. This communication capability creates a really good gives a really good open system and flexibility to test and apply those digital twins use cases that we talked about, the virtual commissioning and prototyping. And overall, we also have simulation connectivity capabilities as well. So you can, using SDK or software development toolkit, you can connect to a custom C# or .NET application. You can connect to operator training simulators. You can connect to MATLAB, ANSYS Twin Builder for co-simulation. You can connect to Emulate 3D as well. So these are the connection capabilities to third-party simulation interfaces through our software development toolkit. Through Ethernet, you can connect with Ethernet IP to ViewMe, ViewSC, HMI, other emulated controllers, and third-party software through Links Gateway. So you can actually connect and use this to connect through Links Gateway as well to third-party software systems. And what we talked about Logix Echo SDK, the SDK documentation contains the detailed explanation of all API functions and their use cases. It includes .NET Standard 2.0 assemblies, and it has two sets of APIs. A service API used to manage system and perform all the functions that can be done from a dashboard, or a controller API used to control the execution, scale, time, and access tag in emulated controller. Okay. And with that, I want to just show you a co-simulation integration with Emulate 3D, but this can also apply to like third-party co-simulation softwares. So here, Emulate 3D, when they apply the continuous task fidelity to 10%, so it reduces the speed of the execution by 10%, and it can scale to 11 or 12 times as well high. So you can see in real time the difference, what will happen if the throughput speed needs to be increased, right? What are the consequences? So you can actually model your physical environment and look at the constraints of your physical system as well. The operator training simulators, it supports direct integration into third-party simulation tools. I mentioned a couple of them like Mina and Cape Software. They are fully capable of integration through software development toolkit. We have full documentation of the APIs as well. Logix Echo also has the snapshot capability. So you can save one or more controller state at specific point in time and can be restored back directly when you start it up again. So if you are doing a simulation and you want to store snapshots that you can access later, you can actually do that for specific OTS scenarios for your operator training. You can also automate the testing of your code by recalling a known scenario as well. So you don't have to wait for scenario to occur. You can, if you have stored the snapshot, you can just load that up. Similar to how we do with virtual machines in VMware, this is a similar concept applied to control systems application. We connect with simulation interface. We talked a little bit about it. Directly as a Studio, it uses Studio 5000 simulation interface to connect with MATLAB and Simulink models, direct data access with Simulink models, and also access with ANSYS Twin Builder models. Now, before we jump on to the demonstration, the emulator is designed to be a virtual controller used in development, testing, and simulation environment. So there are certain things that the emulator cannot do. It cannot connect to physical IO devices. It cannot connect to real motion accesses to real drives. It cannot connect and produce consume tags with physical controllers. It cannot do license-based source protection, like an encryption of the source code. And it cannot really emulate true redundancy. So it will accept a redundant application, but it will run as primary with no partner in a simplex mode. So redundant application will execute and run. You can emulate that, but it will run as a primary with no partner mode. What that means that you cannot emulate a switchover. So that is the one portion that we cannot emulate. We cannot emulate a switchover. We can emulate the logic within the control system, but not the switchover. We can emulate the produce consume tags with other emulated controllers, and we can also download and run logic with any Logix language. With that, I will pass it on to Bruce.
Hello, everybody. My name is Bruce Kyer here with Commercial Engineering at Rockwell Automation. I'll give you a quick demo of setting up the Logix Echo. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. And I think everybody can see my screen. I often get asked this question, but no, that's not me climbing the wall there. It's just a standard Microsoft picture. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Logix Echo. First, I'm going to open up a L8 program. I'll double click on my ACD here. I've got a very simple ACD already built. It's built for an L84 in slot 3. We'll take a look at that here. And then while that's opening up, I'll also open up Logix Echo as well. And when Logix Echo first opens up, we'll need to configure a controller for it. Here it says that there's no controllers added. We'll go ahead and add one here for it. But first, let's take a look at what I already have. If I go into my controller properties, we can see that I've got one set here for an L84 at version 33 in slot 3. Now with the older emulate, we had to actually change the controller type to an emulated controller. Here, we don't need to do that. We're just going to leave that as an L84 controller. I'll say OK to that. And then we can also have I/O configured here for the controller as well. This won't actually connect to the I/O, but we can leave the I/O in the tree and be able to download our project. Let me go ahead and configure a controller here. So here's what the Logix Echo window looks like. And when we want to add a controller, our list of controllers here over on the left, here I don't have any, so I'm going to right click and do add controller. Now, when I add a controller here, I'm just going to choose the 5580 as the type that I'm going to emulate. And then we need to give it a name. I'll just call it something simple like my controller. And right now, I think I've only got version 33 available, but if we want more versions, we can actually just flash this guy with the firmware that we want to use, just like a real controller. And then we can assign an IP address to the front port. Now, these are the IP addresses available from Windows. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. I'm just going to go ahead and pick the first one here that I have available, the .90, and then we can give it a description as well. And then choose the slot that we want to put the controller into. Since I'm trying to use slot 3, I'll choose that. And then we'll click Add. So here, if I go ahead and choose the device status, I can see here that I've got a on-off button. I can turn the controller on and off with this button. And then I can also see the state of it as well. Right now it's in remote mode. It's not running, so it's in remote program mode. So that's all I really need to do to configure it. And now I'm going to download to it. So let's go ahead and do communications. I'm going to do Who Active here. And in factory toggle links, I can actually download to it 2 different ways. I've got a emulated Ethernet and an actual Ethernet driver. If I select my Ethernet driver, I can see the device is over Ethernet here. I can see that it's showing up as the .90 that I selected. So I'll highlight that. And then I'll click download, just like a real controller. And I've got a very simple program here. We'll see it running here in a second after it downloads. And here I'm online. I didn't have to change the controller type or anything. I just had to make sure the slot matched, and I downloaded to it. Now, if I do go into properties, it will say that it's an emulated L84 controller, but I don't have to change to that. It's just going to let me know that it's actually running in an emulator, but it's emulating an L84E. And then here, I'm going to go ahead and go to run mode on this guy. And I just have a simple add instruction incrementing a tag. We can see here that it's running. Now, if I go down and look at my I/O is in the tree. It won't connect to this guy, but I can leave all of my I/O in the tree. I can inhibit the modules, and then I can read and write to the tags of this I/O module to simulate I/O. I can write additional ladder logic for it, or I can use maybe an HMI to read and write those tags. As far as adding additional controllers go, I can just right click and do add a new controller. As I mentioned, the IP addresses that are available are the ones that I've configured in Windows. To add additional IP addresses, I would need to actually go into Windows and let's look for Ethernet settings. And then I'm going to change my adapter options. And let's go look at the TCP driver. And in here, there's an advanced button. I'm going to click on that. In here, I can add additional IP addresses. Let me go ahead and add one, 192. And then let's say I want to add one for, let's say, 95. Make sure the subnet mask makes sense. It does. And then we'll say OK to that. And I'll just OK this all the way through. Now, if I go back here into Echo and add a new controller, I should have also that IP address available as well, and I do. So I can call this my controller 2. And then I can choose the IP address I just added if I want, or the other ones. And I'll click add. And I can do that up to 17 times. That's it for my demo of setting up Echo. Niraj, do you want me to demo anything else, or would you like to take back over?
Hey, thank you, Bruce. I think I have a couple of things that I would like to show as well to all the folks attending. You do have access to the kind of demo that Bruce showed today. We have what we call an OnCourse cloud-based infrastructure that is available to our customers to browse through and evaluate, work around the scenarios. Now, a couple of things on the questions I was looking at in the chat. Can a non-Rockwell HMI communicate with Echo as a PLC device? The answer is yes. And let me share my screen there. Right. So yes, so the Logix Echo will connect through FactoryTalk Links gateway to third-party softwares and third-party HMIs. So emulated, you can use Links gateway through OPC to connect to any third-party devices, third-party software, third-party systems through OPC. So it does, it's just like a standard Rockwell controllers. However, you are connecting to standard Rockwell controllers today through Links gateway. It's the same exact connection, SIP class 3 connection through OPC. Okay. Any other question on that side before I move on to show our capabilities where you can get access to the similar virtual machine and Logix Echo for testing. See, okay. Let me share. Screen. So we have an OnCourse portal. You can request access to it through Rockwell or through the Reynolds company. I mean, reach out to Wayne, Mike, David, Brian, Joe at Reynolds company, and they can help set up this session for you. Basically, it's an online session. When I say online, we have a cloud infrastructure that runs this virtual machine. So I'm going to open up a virtual machine right here called FTD server. And in there, you can see that I have the Logix Echo running as well. I have a demo that I set up before. I have that running here. Right. opening up my Logix Echo dashboard here. Right. So here is my Logix Echo system. I can add another controller. I can add another controller from ACD file. But what I wanted to show here that once you have the controller in, you can look at how it is connected, what ACD file it's using. And we have connected the View SC server with Logix Echo to get you the system directly, the testing, the virtual commissioning portion of the system directly from Logix Echo instead of connecting to the real live controller. Now this without changing the control system itself, right? So I open up the ACD file. So you can see the virtual machine that I'm showing right on screen in Zoom. So,
Yeah, we're seeing the virtual machine.
So one of the questions that came in, the Logix Echo can only emulate L8 and above controllers, any firmware of L8. There is a limitation because it cannot emulate L6, L5, or L7 controllers because of the communication capabilities in those controllers today. Now, can you use the same IP address for multiple controllers? No, Logix Echo emulates exactly what we have in the physical controllers. So when we install physical controllers, they would have separate IP addresses. So we cannot emulate the two controllers on the same IP address. So this would be the program. We can actually go online as well with the controller. And you can have like Bruce had said, emulate Ethernet directly, and you can go to the online with the controller as well. Any questions? Yes, so there will be an emulator. The capability for CompactLogix 5380 will be added to Echo as well, and that will be added in summer 2022. So just stay tuned for that about June timeframe. Can we use the OIA ABC IP driver or Capware to communicate with Logix Echo natively? So far, the Capware or direct connection through DAICP or another drivers like that is not possible. Logix, we do not have a connectivity to Logix Echo directly through third-party systems today. You need Logix links gateway. You do need links gateway to connect through OPC. With that, the connection here, going through server status, data display. So you can actually test out the connections to your HMI servers lineups. Now, other portion of this lab also has asset center and historian as well. So you can access this virtual machine, this setup, and play around with the Logix Echo in environment where you have Vue SC, Studio 5000, Logix Echo, everything installed and ready for you to test out a solution or test out a system. So reach out to our Reynolds Company specialist or to your Rockwell Automation account manager, and you can schedule a lab for demoing the system. Okay.
We should also note there that we can issue a 30-day trial license of Echo too. So if you want to work on it within your own test environment, we can set up a 30-day trial. But the hands-on lab is a great intro as well, because it has everything pre-built for you and ready to go.
Yes. There are questions on Logix side, Logix L8 controller side as well. Okay, I think there's one more. Do you have timeline for redundant SIL support on L8? So redundant SIL 2 support timeline, I would say about 2 years on that as of today. Logix Echo included in toolkit license. It is not included, but we do have an aggressive licensing policy based on the use count. So if you buy 1 license, your price is X. If you buy 10 licenses, it's about 50% cheaper. So if you have toolkits and you want to have Logix Echo for a subset of engineers that are using toolkits today, we can aggressively price that out up to a 50% discount when you buy 10 or more Logix Echo licenses. And then the Logix Echo licenses are subscription based, so just like they are like toolkits, but they are separate from toolkits as of today.
And it is also not included in the Studio 5000 Professional, so it is a separate.
Yes, that is correct. So it is not part of Studio 5000 as well. It is a complete separate installation, not part of a Studio 5000 install. You can have a Logix Echo system running on its own virtual machine, complete and perform up to 17 controllers and connect with third-party systems through Ethernet IP connections. Right, I think let's stay online if you've got any other questions that are coming in. Like you see, it is very easy to set up, very simple to set up, very simple to test applications and connect with third-party systems or with the factory of USC and ME systems. All right, Wayne, I think that is all that I have.
All right. Well, thank you, Niraj. Thank you, Bruce. That was a great presentation and demonstration as well. And thank you for attending. So if there are questions or like to get more information, like stated before, reach out to us, to your local specialist, account manager teams that you work with, and we'll be happy to help. And with that, we thank everyone for attending all of our user group sessions this year. And we look forward to seeing everybody in 2022 with the user groups.